Okay.
Recording is in progress.
Okay,
All right.
great.
Thank you very much. So as always, though, I do begin these events by acknowledging those who came before us on this land. So I do say a land acknowledgement. So we begin today by acknowledging that we walk upon the traditional territories of Indigenous people, and we recognize their history, spirituality, culture, and stewardship of the land. We're grateful to all Indigenous groups for their commitment to protect the land and its resources, and we are committed to reconciliation, partnership, and enhanced understanding. We acknowledge the land we are meeting here in the Greater Toronto Area is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabeg, the Wendat, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Anishinaabe peoples. And it is now home to many diverse peoples. We would also like to acknowledge the land we are on here is at the meeting place of two treaties, the lands of the Mississaugas of the Credit and those of the First Nations of the Williams Treaty. We thank them and other Indigenous peoples for sharing this land with us. We also acknowledge and recognize all of the world's Indigenous peoples as stewards of Mother Earth. So as I go forward, I want to say some of the upcoming events. Nothing too special, but maybe interesting to some of our members. Saturday, 30th of April is International Jazz Day. It is a UNESCO day. International Jazz Day is declared or was declared by the UN Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, in 2011 to highlight jazz and its diplomatic role of uniting people in all corners of the globe. It is celebrated annually on April 30th. Then on May 3rd, there are 2 days. That's following Tuesday. May 3rd is actually World Tuna Day. And it's written as with so many countries around the world relying on tuna for both its nutritional and economic value. World Tuna Day, first observed on May 2nd, 2017, is an effort to stress the importance of a stable and healthy tuna population. In practice, the events aims to spread information about the possible impact of drastically declining tuna stocks and to raise awareness of the importance of sustainably managed tuna stocks. So this is an interesting event, World Tuna Day. Same day as World Tuna Day, again, Tuesday, 3rd of May, is actually World Press Freedom Day as well, with World Press Freedom Day established in 1993 by the UN General Assembly. The day marks the anniversary of the Declaration of Windhoek, a statement of press freedom principles put together by African journalists in 1991 to promote an independent and pluralistic African press. This day is observed annually on May 3rd. I wanted to note as well, again, for the past few weeks, some people do consider this to be Earth Month. And if you look up April is Earth Month, you do come across some articles that say this is a call to action for sustainable change. April 4th was the 52nd anniversary of Earth Month. The links I'm sharing give information about Earth Month. The link to a Canadian website called Let's Talk Science also states that they are committed to preparing youth in Canada for future careers and citizenship demands in a rapidly changing world. As well, a link I will share for an organization in the USA. The Solutions Project says they celebrate Earth Month as Earth Day 365. In their description, they note that for decades, Black, Indigenous, immigrant, and other communities of color, as well as poor communities, have been at the losing end of decision after decision that puts polluting industries at their doorsteps. Instead of sitting on the sidelines, they are building power and enacting some of the most cost-effective and creative solutions to address the consequences of the climate crisis. We are working toward these solutions every day, not just on Earth Day. It's time we acknowledge, support, and begin to implement these ideas on a larger scale. Let's get busy building the future we want. Again, in the chat, I do put that link. So I am going to go to my presentation now, which I need to share my screen. Just a second.
If you're ready to share your screen, I can stop sharing, Lloyd. Let me know when.
No, it does actually, because you have given me control, stop your share. Okay.
Thanks for putting those in the chat, the links. Thank you, sir.
Mm-hmm. As always, I do start my presentation by giving recognition to our supporters and sponsors, in particular Andrew Networks, which I now call the Door Opening Network for those in the Global Unity Network, UnityNet, and our weekly Thursday Zoom calls, where we are committed to take these weekly Zoom calls out through to December 29th, 2023. So Andrew Networks is also rebroadcasting any production-ready episodes on the Ad Hoc International Advisory Board Goodwill Ambassador AHIABGA.org domain, being redirected to the UCI-TV site. You'll notice the logo indicates that this is 21 to 23 IGU Summit event. We do plan to continue delivering these events until the end of 2023. That is in alignment with the UN Global Compact 2021 to 23 vision and strategy. Again, I put in some relevant links into the chat each time. You do see logos on this page for organizations such as the Maui Aloha Project, the 5 Points Youth Foundation, the Ad Hoc International Advisory Board of Goodwill Ambassadors, Future Lift Foundation, Global Peace Let's Talk, the American International Education Federation, the EDFU Foundation, the Conservancy Trust, the Saget Foundation, the LA Global Foundation, as well as our own logos for the Tree of Peace and Reconciliation, the Greater Unity Network, the Indigenous Unity Flag, the Unity 4K Clubs, the HEPTA Matrix Partnership, template of the UnityNet International, and a number of other ones. Again, I put in the chat links to many of these organizations that we are working with in partnership. But first, I do want to acknowledge Andrew Networks as donating our hosting and promotional support services. Andrew Networks being a brand and domain name owned by our ParXTC Export Trading Company, comprising the various social media channels, including TRN TV, Universal Citizens Media Networks, Conversations with Andrew Williams Jr., and many more. Andrew Networks is not only our primary sponsor supporting the promotional ecosystem for this UnityNet initiative, this Indigenous Global Unity Summit, which will continue again through December 2023. Andrew's also what I call our yes, yes, yes partner, helping to open doors so that members of the network are able to discover their inner selves and passions, where Andrew Networks is working with the people who occupy the various nodes of the Global Unity Network to come together with the people of the network, acting like a net to support the dreams of the Global Unity Network, so we can come together and leverage these passions, transform visions of a better future for themselves and their communities into reality, realities that make sense for themselves and their communities, however they might define what is a better future for them collectively as they seek to work together in partnership and leave no one behind. So again, into the chat, I put links to Andrew Networks. So Andrew also founded the Ad Hoc International Advisory Board of Goodwill Ambassadors, Advocates, and Activists in September 2019, with this focus on globalizing Sustainable Development Goals during this decade of action and delivery on the SDGs 2020 to 2030. Andrew later appointed me as the representative for Canada, La Francophonie, and the Commonwealth of Nations countries, originally published on January 1st, 2020. I was later appointed as a representative for Turtle Island in early 2021. Again, in the chat is the link to the Ad hoc International Advisory Board ambassadors. I do like to say before I get too far, I am Lloyd, the Chief Ecosystem Director, Program Development Director, and a Sustainable Society Consultant for Energime University, which is headquartered in Manhattan, New York. I am located, however, in the city of Markham in the Don River watershed, German Mills Creek subwatershed, which drains into Lake Ontario, the lowest of the last of the North American Great Lakes in the Greater Toronto area in Southern Ontario, Canada. Energime University, a private 501(c) nonprofit company in New York, member of the UN Global Compact, a UN academic impact member and partner. Energime U being a virtual university created to help empower global populations to reestablish a sustainable balance with their local environments. Energime does this by designing and implementing projects to support a strong and diversified local economy while integrating core sustainable technologies and infrastructure into the local communities in the areas of renewable energy, high-density food growth solutions, along with systems for sustainably managing local waste streams and protecting local water resources. So Energime is supported by over 375 companies whose products and technologies we employ. Energime also supports local education and training in the construction, deployment, and maintenance of all of the various integrated solutions for achieving these closed-loop systems, which in turn support self-sufficient, sustainable communities. Again, my contact information is in the chat. So I'm also the co-founder and administrator of the We Energime Global Cooperation Turtle Island International civil society organization that is seeking to undertake life value peace education in the context of life learning gardens. And in the chat, you will see, whoops, sorry, wrong link or bad link to the group there. But the link you see on the screen there is in the chat. So I was, as I mentioned, also designated as a Goodwill Ambassador for the 5 Points Youth Foundation in Los Angeles, with that portfolio that covers Canada, La Francophonie, the Commonwealth of Nations, and Turtle Island communities. As the ambassador, seeking to empower our communities to engage with royal, Indigenous, and tribal leadership, as well as helping local communities establish what we call interfaith neighborhood academic and business collaboratives, or INABCs, that come together to pledge to support all of the local humanitarian entrepreneurs who are globalizing the global goals, starting with the Sustainable Development Goals, while always also seeking ways to leave no one behind. In the chat are some connections to the Ad hoc International Advisory Board of Goodwill Ambassadors. So I am co-founder of the Global Unity Business Group, which originally came together as a coalition of small businesses in order to establish, manage, and grow what we call a global unity network, now referred mostly as UnityNet. The result of the original Global Unity Business Group, which I had been describing as a humanitarian enterprise and global sustainable and regenerative development corporation supporting and promoting the local delivery of open source, regenerative, climate smart infrastructure set up as life learning gardens, along with the hybrid virtual learning platform we call the BCN, or the Interchange for Peace, is now being rebranded as UnityNet International, in alignment with our first continental network, UnityNet Africa and Diaspora. Well, the original Global Unity Business Group was created in order to formalize the Ad hoc International Advisory Board process of localization of the global goals, starting with the SDGs. It is being done by the establishment of this global unity network, UnityNet, which includes the Unity Gardens, the Unity Learning, and other dedicated UnityNet nodes and chapters, which are all important components of what we call a network of networks. So the latest way that I describe who we are is as a network of people and organizations supporting the ad hoc International Advisory Board process of localization of the global goals, currently the SDGs, and the global transition to a regenerative economy that leaves no one behind. Essentially, we're creating an empowerment network for all of our members, including the female and feminist humanitarian entrepreneurs who are helping to implement the local regenerative climate smart solutions that are required to achieve a regenerative economy that leaves no one behind. It is important to note that the existing social media, WhatsApp, Facebook, LinkedIn groups we're using right now are used as a placeholder as we build the global network, prepare to launch, where we'll eventually get all of the people, companies, and nodes of the network onto this Interchange for Peace VCN, where they'll be able to gain access to the many tools and services that are available there, where they can much more easily collaborate in order to locally implement all of the globally coordinated real-world events, projects, enterprises, and infrastructure. So again, I am putting some of the links to our existing social media, including the professional networks and the other public networks. So the Global Unity Network, now UnityNet, created to showcase global cooperation for the implementation of the local regenerative solutions for achieving the global goals, starting with those 17 SDGs. Our goal is to help uplift the traditionally marginalized communities that are mostly being left behind because the existing economic paradigm is very much focused on making money for those who are already wealthy by extracting resources through the exploitation, usually over-exploitation of people in the natural world, and therefore the majority of people on Earth are being ignored by our existing highly competitive economy. So our focus is thus on the billions of people who exist or subsist on the economic sidelines, where we intend to start our work by helping local communities deliver the various regenerative, local, climate-smart enterprise solutions that people and communities in some of the least developed countries, communities, and local economies require in order to thrive. So as an entry point, we are focused in particular on those communities that are the most food insecure. Again, I've put in some additional links to our local unity network. So the UnityNet is promoting the delivery of a suite of practical solutions for achieving the global goals, starting with the Sustainable Development Goals. During this period until 2030, we are focused on using the tools of humanitarian entrepreneurship, focusing on female and feminist humanitarian entrepreneurs and enterprises, and using this hybrid virtual and hands-on education and training and learning programs, platforms, and curricula, with a primary focus on delivery of the various humanitarian entrepreneurship skills training in practical settings or practicum learning, along with leveraging the various open source regenerative climate smart infrastructure solutions to remotely assist local INAB collaborative teams to establish the local open source Unity Garden classrooms in all of the local communities around the world. So the Unity Garden classrooms are set up in collaboration with existing schools in local communities and can be used for the local and remote and virtual delivery of the practicum learning programs for all of those FFEG members, so they can learn how to grow, process, cook, market, sell, and trade the various types of regenerative climate smart food and related nutritional and medicinal and other types of locally produced regenerative products, both within their own local communities, as well as regionally, nationally, continentally, and even internationally, in order to produce income and therefore greater prosperity for themselves and for the people in their own local communities, for all people on all continents, with the intention, again, of leaving no one behind. I'd like to put in chat at this point a link to our UnityNet Smart Cities network as well. So we also promote through the virtual social marketing all of the members of our network. We use all the various practical social media network and trading tools, including those of the modern fourth industrial revolution, combining the wisdom of the crowds together with the deep indigenous knowledge of both our ancestors and the living indigenous people of this earth in order to learn from each other about how to share the abundance of this planet in order to create productive, regenerative, climate smart landscapes wherever we may live in and around each and all of our local communities. Our intention is also to help restore nature and biodiversity, ensure abundance for all, and ultimately restore the human connection to Mother Earth as proper stewards of our one and only beautiful planet. Again, we have a Unity biodiversity network as well. So the Ad hoc International Advisory Board process of localization of the global goals is intended to help everyone in each of their own local communities to establish local teams of humanitarian entrepreneurs, as well as local community support networks, the INABCs that will provide support and ensure the success of the local cooperative humanitarian enterprises, starting with the Unity Gardens. These will be done and established in each local community across our global network, most likely starting in Africa, but also here in North America and in Asia as well. This process of establishing the local INABCs is done by taking part in what we call the Abraham Project, Tree of Peace and Reconciliation tree planting ceremonies that we plan to do on World Environment Day, June 5th, where some communities will also establish twin trees of peace and reconciliation and twin Unity Gardens, and will be done through the CPTP program process of twinning the local community Unity Garden humanitarian enterprises, and also twinning the local community INAB collaboratives. So what we are building here is a global network of local INAB collaboratives, where all of the members of each local INAB will be interconnected and watching over and talking to each other at the global level, and where each local INAB will have a diverse set of members from 7 different sectors of every community: public, private, civil society, academic, interfaith, finance, and orange economy, or the creative sector. And we'll also be watching, promoting, and helping each other and supporting the local entrepreneurs in each local community, who will be empowered by all of the members of the global network, and where all activities are also intended to be transparent to all members of the global network, including all members of the local INAB collaboratives, who will also be accountable to and for the success of the local collaborative Unity Garden humanitarian enterprises. So this means that if the local female and feminist humanitarian entrepreneurs who are living in that local community fail to be successful as they build and run their local collaborative or cooperative community Unity Garden humanitarian enterprise, their business, provided they're fully dedicated to making it successful for all the members of the community, and especially for those who are most marginalized in each of their own local communities, it will not be entirely on their own shoulders alone, again, barring some unforeseen circumstances that the insurance industry and lawyers like to call acts of God, but rather such failure could also at least partially be blamed on the local community INAB collaborative members for not having lived up to their obligations to support and empower the local community humanitarian entrepreneurs who are building, operating, maintaining, and delivering all of the various community programs, events, interventions, goods, and services that will be delivered in the context of their own local community Unity Garden humanitarian enterprise. So I always suggest as well that every community Unity Garden humanitarian enterprise should also be established as a cooperative enterprise or business, where the idea is to set up the local community business as a co-op so that the burden of running the business does not fall entirely on the shoulders of any single entrepreneur. Although different business models can be tried in order to determine what business models might actually work best. Again, in the chat, I put some information about this concept of enterprises and co-ops. So the INAB collaboratives are established at the local level, where we are leveraging this process of community engagement, initially through the planting of the trees of peace and reconciliation, planting ceremonies, followed by ongoing community engagement and interaction through regularly scheduled events throughout the year, including coordinated Bubble Fun festivals, which will be done in collaboration with the local INAB collaborative members, the CTP program for twinning the community activities such as community organized tree planting, local regenerative community infrastructure development projects and events, the Tea Diplomacy Initiative, as I described, the Team Dream Boards Initiative, done in collaboration with the C4 group members, identification of and engagement with local talent, artists, and creative people in the Orange economy for the purpose of promoting and showcasing their talent, especially as they promote the globalization of the global goals and the regenerative economy during any of the periodic sunlight spectacle or other edutainment events. So we do support any other programs or activities that may be developed in the context of either the climate smart gardens or forests, or the climate smart kitchens delivered by Kindred Kitchens, or the Wheel of Life farms delivered by an organization in Vietnam called ESRLA or EPWT, the Smart Learning Centers or Climate Smart Learning Centers delivered by PodNet, and as well, as many have seen before, the local INAB collaboratives are now being expanded to try to include more critical partners, potentially now including Bridges of Hope organization from Kenya, which will be focused on training of the FFHEs in the various regenerative and climate smart businesses and infrastructure solutions, and possibly also being the Black International Managers or Black Emergency Managers Association, which would help bring together first responders, such as police, firefighters, paramedics, from the local community in order to help prepare the local entrepreneurs and enterprises, potentially position their businesses as hubs of taking action during emergencies or significant incidents that may happen in the community. I have also included a placeholder for a virtual cultural exchange office of UnityNet Africa and Diaspora, established for the purpose of mutually supporting each of our own local communities, including the FFHE and the rest of the local INAB collaborative members, wherever it is that each of us live. So again, I put in the chat some links to our template organization, UnityNet GPA. I want to mention again, we are doing these Tea Diplomacy Initiative events. The first one we did during the week of solidarity with the people struggling against racism and racial discrimination, which was March 21st to 27th. In particular, I had suggested at that time begin on Monday, March 21st, the International Day for the Elimination of Racial Discrimination, which also happened to be World Poetry Day and the International Day of Forests. So this did open us up to the possibility to do this virtual tea diplomacy event and have conversations related to methods and processes of enabling and implementing solidarity with the people struggling against racism and racial discrimination, as well as discussing some of the local poets and poetry that have influenced local cultures in each respective community, wherever participants in these virtual discussions might live. We also discussed the importance of establishing productive forests as biodiverse 3D polyculture food forests established as unity forests, unity gardens in all of our local communities, managed in partnership with local Indigenous people and all levels of government in every local community and country as an essential part of a process of practical reconciliation with all of the Indigenous peoples of the world, one country, one community, and one watershed at a time. I will now play for you the poem that was played during the first Tea Diplomacy event. It's about 2.5 minutes and was read by a poet called Jack Black God, who is from a squatter camp or VVC called Diepsloop, north of Johannesburg in South Africa. Oops.
We are people of our own color. 7 seas and 1 big ocean. It doesn't matter how big, small, dark, light, Christian or not you are. We all come from the same origins. Origins that when we trace footprints lead us to the central heart of Africa. Because Africa should unite and nothing will bite. Instead, we will forever have peaceful nights. Africa uniting wouldn't be bad, instead it will never hurt. Trees! Allow me to be your garden at least, so that I could plant these poetical seed into your cultivated mind with harvested thoughts of negativities. last is my own memories. Right now, my broken, beaten bone skeleton wants to escape this flesh. My soul is rejecting this temple hospitality of one who You see, we were never told about the secret ingredients they used to cook this system. This system was cooked with a four-sized traditional pot, but we were never invited into the inns of financial taste. All you did, black child, was to feast on that racism that was served to you on a silver platter, so that mahinya, 7 colors, the shininess of it could blindfold you. Your I have fought has made deals for dessert. But what about the main meal, black child? We are still enslaved by our own memories. See, once upon a time there was I reciting poems with meaningless senses and unengineered sentence language construction. Therapy of my words wounded so many innocent souls I'm lost in translation. Tongue clicks, Ubuntu transplant, guilty to innocent endless transformations. I'm so confused in my lost thoughts. Perhaps I'm losing it, isn't it? Yes, I've been here and they've all been there, distant relatives. 300 Spartans, the rise of my ancestors to you, godly amen. The last breathless word you would inhale. We are still enslaved by our own memories, yet we are 7 seas and one big ocean.
So I will as well put in the chat some relevant links to many of these events and organizations and other information that I had just mentioned as well. So we have now completed the first virtual Tea Diplomacy Initiative event that took place on Monday, March 21st. During that Tea Diplomacy event, we asked leaders and other high-level decision makers to sit down virtually and have a cup of tea with some of the UnityNet members at the grassroots who are living in and doing work in the various marginalized communities around the world. The conversations that we asked our participants to discuss during these moderated virtual casual conversations between sustainable development decision makers, professionals, and our grassroots members who are doing some of the on-the-ground work in the various local communities in the Global Unity Network were related to these 3 themes that I mentioned and that were shown on the previous slide. The event was co-hosted by the Global Unity Network, UnityNet International, which is building our network on behalf of the Ad Hoc International Advisory Board of Goodwill Ambassadors, the Global Forum for Sustainable Rural Development, and Global Peace Let's Talk, along with the Ad Hoc International Advisory Board of Goodwill Ambassadors and Activists. So at this point, I do also want to play the music of a lady by the name of Luvia M. and a song called Fulan Lisio. As this is playing, I will also put the translated lyrics of this song into the chat. The song is about 4.5 minutes long and is our new theme song for the Global Diplomacy, Tea Diplomacy Initiative. We will play it as well as that poem that we just played at every Tea Diplomacy Initiative event. So again, in the chat are the lyrics for the song. So I wanted to thank everybody for taking this time to listen. We're hoping that eventually that song will have its own music video so we can actually watch this song being sung to us. But for now, I also see that Prophet Cox has asked if I could share a link to the poem that was read earlier. Unfortunately, I don't have that available. However, if you contact me afterward, we can get that to you. What I wanted to do, though, is to mention all the partners that we did have take part in our First Sea Diplomacy Initiative event, including Andrew Networks, the World Humanitarian Organization for Peace and Equity, WOPE, Saga Foundation, Gemma Productions, We Energize Global Cooperation Turtle Island, Drada and Markham, the Climate Change Solutions Education and Training Hub here where I live, the Indigenous Global Unity Network, Carbon Shot Earth, the Sustainable Marketplace for Climate Solutions, the Unity Women and Feminist Network, Tods and Kids South Africa, Jofoa Uganda, the National Federation of Women Farmers and Appropriate Technology, Asia in Nepal, TriLife Foundation in Malawi, the Soweto CSI Council in South Africa, Gemma Skaters Youth Development Program, Village Synergy in Uganda, the Global Unity Business Group Humanitarian Enterprise and Global Sustainable and Regenerative Development Corporation, now UnityNet International, together with the organizations that support and promote this IGU Summit event, including the 5 Points Youth Foundation, EDFU Foundation, Future Lift Foundation, and Cycle of Success. Again, I will put a number of links to the chat, so people do have those links again to the organizations. I want to make sure this time we have links for everybody to connect to these organizations so they are able to access them. People can save the chat again by pressing the 3 dots at the bottom. and say save chat. So I want to also mention that we are planning to do at least 2 more tea diplomacy events this year, including a second one on May 21st, International Tea Day. That day is also World Day for Cultural Diversity for Dialogue and Development, which celebrates not only the richness of the world's cultures, but also the essential role of intercultural dialogue for achieving peace and sustainable development. Thus, our next Tea Diplomacy Initiative event, we will partner with UnityNet Culture and Diversity members who are supporting the UnityNet international plans to establish unique and culturally relevant local Unity Garden infrastructure projects that reflect the local cultures of each country, city, community, or eco-village. The third Tea Diplomacy event will be on Saturday, June 18th, which is Sustainable Gastronomy Day, where we will potentially also partner with the Plant-Based Climate Smart Food Network, the South Markham Food Security Network, and the Virtual Urban Food and Farming Network, or the Urban Farming Network. Again, in the chat, I will put in some information about International Tea Day, along with some information about the UnityNet Culture and Diversity network of UnityNet International, as well as information about Sustainable Gastronomy Day and the the Virtual Urban Food and Farming Network that we have as part of the Global Unity Network, as well as vital information about the World Day for Cultural Diversity for Dialogue and Development, which is, as described, an occasion to promote culture and highlight the significance of its diversity as an agent of inclusion and positive change. It represents an opportunity to celebrate culture's manifold forms, from the tangible and intangible to creative industries, to the diversity of cultural expressions, and to reflect on how these contribute to dialogue, mutual understanding, and the social, environmental, and economic vectors of sustainable development. An additional page here, the second Tea Diplomacy event is now live, and people can register to attend this event. We're also looking to develop more partnerships so that we can have a greater impact. So if you want to promote your local civil society organization, NGO, or humanitarian enterprise, please feel free to contact me so that the Global Unity Network, UnityNet, can also promote the work that you are doing to localize the global goals in your own local community. And I am putting a link in the chat to the second Ad Hoc International Advisory Board UnityNet International Tea Diplomacy Initiative. I want to mention the events again that we will be doing throughout the year. The collaborative events we want to do this year related to the activities of the Global Unity 4K Clubs Network and the Unity Gardens Network, the Eco Village Network, and Biodiversity Network include this first globally coordinated Abraham project for the Tree of Peace and Reconciliation Showcase for global cooperation, delivered locally in multiple local communities by the members of the UnityNet on World Environment Day, Sunday, June 5th, in a little over a month from now, and which will allow us to begin establishing a global network of local INAB collaboratives, these interfaith neighborhood academic and business collaboratives that will lead the way at the local level everywhere in the world to undertaking the various globally coordinated events that we plan to do during the rest of the year. So the chat includes some links to the UnityNet African Diaspora Open Forum discussion group, as well as UnityNet Sierra Leone and Uganda, which are important as well for this network. So we followed that launch event by a Bubble Fun Festival event, globally coordinated again, aligned to allow youth and families to have fun while they learn about the various properties of bubbles and how the use of bubbles will potentially allow humanity to more easily adapt, perhaps even thrive in a warming and changing global climate, especially in those areas of the world where the impacts of global warming climate change will be felt the most severely, including here in Canada, especially in the north and in mountainous areas, as well as in places like sub-Saharan Africa and Southeast Asia. Some possible dates for the globally coordinated Community Bubble Fun Festivals include August 9th, the International Day of the World's Indigenous Peoples, which is also the International Day of Solidarity with the Struggle of Women in South Africa and Namibia, or National Women's Day, along with August 12th, International Youth Day, August 19th, World Humanitarian Day, which potentially opens it up to having a global or a local Bubble Fun Festival on any date between August 9th and August 19th, which is actually an 11-day window. So again, I put in some links into the chat that are relevant to that conversation. I want to mention as well the Ubuntu Summit, some other key events that take place. Start on October 4th, Global Cooperation Day, through to World Food Day, October 16th, including the third Ubuntu the Summit virtual event on October 4th. This is actually our second one, but this is the third event in our main series. This day is also the feast day of St. Francis of Assisi and Blessing of the Animals Day, which are both celebrated by the Catholic Church or Catholic faith communities. Again, I link to our past Summit, which we did in 2021. We also want to do what we call a Climate Smart Youth Forum. This fourth event, globally coordinated again, designed to allow youth and families from around the world to learn about and discuss the various regenerative climate smart agriculture and food growing solutions that support achieving SDG 2, zero hunger, and local circular regenerative economies that leave no one behind, along with learning more about the Climate Smart Food Program and all the various components of the ad hoc International Advisory Board process of globalization of the global goals and the smart virtual infrastructure, the Unity Gardens and the Interchange for Peace that allow local community INAB collaboratives to gain access to all the learning programs, the information, the education, the training, the related support programs, including financial support systems that we've been promoting through the Global Unity Network that will in turn allow local community members and families to implement these local regenerative climate smart humanitarian infrastructure and enterprise solutions in the context of their own local neighborhoods and communities wherever they might live. Where the primary host for the Global Climate Smart Youth Forum Week event will be Yeli International in Nigeria, who's also working in partnership with UnityNet Nigeria, along with UnityNet Africa and Diaspora, and many of the rest of the members of the Global Unity Network, as they may wish to contribute. Yeli International is divided into two arms, one being the Youth Education Initiative and the other being a Leadership Initiative. Yeli International is managed by a gentleman by the name of Dr. Amadou Monday Amadou from UnityNet Nigeria. Again, I put in the chat some links to relevant groups that we have to discuss these events. I want to mention as well the optional event this year. We're still in the process of establishing the INAB collaboratives and local teams, but we would like to do a globally coordinated community tree planting event designed to establish 3D polyculture food forests in local communities around the world, done in all the local communities where any local UnityNet INAB collaborative has been established, where the members of the local community partnership wish to establish the Unity Forest Unity Gardens designed for delivering the Global Unity learning programs, such as Tukitani EV Women Empowerment Network and the Global Unity 4K Club Humanitarian Entrepreneurship Learning Programs for educating young people, their families, and other community members about the various ways of achieving food and nutrition security to achieve zero hunger, SDG 2 at the local level, while also implementing so many of the other global goals, such as climate action, biodiversity action, gender equality action, clean water action, clean energy action, peace actions, no poverty actions through their local community enterprises that aim to leave no one behind. So the last globally coordinated community Unity Forest, Unity Garden tree planting event could potentially be done during the proposed Climate Smart Youth Forum week, which will likely also include a hybrid and in-person virtual conference event. So the Global Unity 4K Clubs CPP program and other UnityNet Nigeria group is shown in the chat. So I wanted to mention as well, the Unity Gardens of the UnityNet do encourage what we call co-learning and intercultural collaboration, what is called two-eyed seeing. Unity Gardens are places where children are taught that no one being is greater than the next, that we are part and parcel of the whole, that we are equal, that each one of us has a responsibility to the balance of the system and an understanding of all that all of the world's species and all of our bio and eco kin have contributions to make. I want to put into the chat as well, this idea of two-eyed seeing, or a tuaptmumk guiding principle for intercultural collaboration, which you can see at the website in the chat to read more about that. A new slide for today. I also wanted to mention the UnityNet International Honey Project proposal for the Russley Poverty Alleviation pilot projects that are managed by the Russley Institute in collaboration with the Global Unity Network and the AHIABGA International Advisory Board. The Unity Honey Project is designed to demonstrate the production of certified climate smart honey produced from wildflowers that are grown on restored landscapes such as former mine sites or other industrial or currently degraded lands, in order to produce abundance and revenue from what was once wasteland. So the Unity Honey Project is a bee honey harvesting project intended to support the Science for Peace CSF program food certification system and the demonstration of what we call PEGI payments paid to the producers of certified products that are produced by female and feminist humanitarian entrepreneurs, especially in support of and in partnership with local Indigenous communities. So the Unity Honey Project is designed as something that could potentially be universally applied in a number of different jurisdictions, no matter what country or continent or local community. The project ties into the Abraham Project process of integrating the CTP program for twinning or thrinning our local communities into the AHIABGA International Advisory Board localization process that starts with the planting of the trees of peace and reconciliation and the undertaking of local community ceremonies that help to bring together all of the 7 local partners that will establish the local INAB collaboratives in each local community, who will, from that moment forward, be dedicated to empowering the local FFHEs, who will work closely together with the members of the INAB collaboratives. Again, I put in the link to the Unity Honey Project discussion group, which you can see the description there, as a climate smart honey project designed to demonstrate production of certified climate smart honey produced from wildflowers grown on restored landscapes, such as former mine sites or other industrial integrated lands. Again, supporting the Science for Peace CSF program, food certification system, and the demonstration of the PEGI payments paid to the producers of the certified products that are produced by the FFHE. Also, before we sign off, I wanted to invite everybody to share with everyone today a message of our education system from a gentleman by the name of Radhanath Swami. I wanted to play a video that is about 5 minutes long, contains many important messages about things like compassion, kindness, integrity, inner beauty, happiness, character, values, leadership, success, value, love, hope, and actually understanding of the true meaning of success. So I will play that video.
What is happening to our system of education. It is said 50 years ago, some of the major problems in schools included sticking chewing gum under tables, talking in class, and missing deadlines. Today, our schools face gun and knife crime, bullying, and dangerous levels of stress, drug abuse, depression, and suicide. To effectively address the serious challenges that our children face, we need to consider not only the problems with individual students, but the very system of education that they are subjected to. Academic intelligence may make a child successful in the world, but compassion will make them useful. When we teach values alongside academics, we will find that children will be much happier, more successful, and will develop into great leaders that will change the future of our world. The word education is derived from the Latin word educare, which means to lead out or to bring out from within. Education is actually about bringing out the unique individual potential of every child, teaching them how to approach the hurdles, shortcomings, and setbacks of life, while empowering them to be vehicles of love and hope for the world. It is said, if you lose your wealth, you lose nothing. If you lose your health, you lose something. But if you lose your character, you lose everything. Without stressing these truths, the opposite will be understood by default. That is, if you lose your character, you lose nothing. If you lose your health, you lose something. If you lose your wealth, you lose everything. It should be a top priority of our education system to ensure that our children get this right. Imagine an education system where children are taught that the only time we should look down on someone is if we can help them up. Imagine a system where children are taught to judge beauty by what is within people's heart, not by their physical appearance. Imagine a system where character is given as much importance as competence, where children are taught that helping 1 billion people is even more valuable than being a billionaire, where as well as learning to raise their standard of living, they are also taught to increase their standard of giving, where children are taught to measure their success by how happy and fulfilled they are, and not how many letters they have after their names. An education system where developing intelligence goes hand in hand with developing compassion. Imagine if, as well as learning the history of our world, they are given the skills to change the future of it. Imagine if, as well as learning to navigate the world, they learn how to navigate their own minds. This is not an imagination. It is possible if we genuinely begin to value kindness over competence, character over success, and integrity above money, and in this way change the system in which our children grow and learn.
So I wanted to mention as well, Dr. Amadou Monday Amadou reminded us recently that the process of change is like revival, and together we can indeed make the world a better place. A positive change begins with you and I, and everyone can start something small and still be able to create the kind of change the world needs, if each one helps one. As the world goes round, it can be made free from social problems. So we in the Global Unity Network through UnityNet International are promoting a humanitarian entrepreneurship and a future regenerative economy, which encompasses the concept of collaborative entrepreneurship, a collaborative economy and collaborative business. Cooperatives and such types of businesses are part of that. The empowerment networks that we're building in all of our local communities through the ceremonies of the planting of the trees of peace and reconciliation are intended to support and empower such types of local community cooperative enterprises and the FFHE who wish to establish and operate them. We believe that a collaborative regenerative economy can achieve far more positive outcomes for far more people far faster than a purely competitive economy as it exists today. Of course, to keep prices down, there needs to be some competition within sectors, especially for those who are providing the same or similar goods and services in the same community. But we encourage what we call co-opetition rather than pure competition, which has a winner takes all mentality. Rather, we want our members to support each other's mutual success so that no one is left behind. In other words, we call Ubuntu for business. Again, I'm going to put in the chat a link to the final slide we have. Sorry, my computer's a little bit slow, which connects us to our global objectives. These are the good, simple global UnityNet values that we want to be continuously promoted alongside the humanitarian entrepreneurship. In other words, life, value, peace, education. So that ends the opening for today. And I will now pass it on for John Moss to provide his presentation. Andrew, did you want to stop and restart the recording?
Good idea, Lloyd. Thank you for the reminder.